Hi, folks. Welcome to Math 119, and that is our elementary statistics class. So this will be one of many videos I hope to make talking about just being able to work through some examples. I know it can be really hard to read from the textbook or listen to a really long video. So I wanted to provide some videos that are a little bit shorter, a little bit more targeted towards things that are what I think are more important in this course. So let's go ahead and get started. So this problem says determine what the key terms refer to in the following study. So a study was conducted at a local college to analyze the average cumulative GPAs of students who graduated last year. Fill in the letter of the phrase that best describes each of the items below. And so we can see here that we have sort of 6 terms that they are interested in: population, statistic, parameter, sample, variable, and data. And I'm actually going to go in the same order that it's presented in your textbook, in section 1.1 in your textbook. It starts to talk in the key terms, and it starts with the word population. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with population. Now, if you go back into your textbook and take a look at where it says population, it says that we can think about population as a collection of persons, things, or objects under a study. So I really like to think about it as like, what is it that we're trying to study? And if we go back and read this prompt a little bit more carefully, it says a study was conducted at a local college to analyze the average cumulative GPAs of students who graduated last year. And so in particular, what that means is that our population is all the students who graduated last year. And so if we look at these choices, might be potentially interested in A. It says all students who attended the college last year, but the key word here really is graduated, okay? So if we go down a little bit further, we might see in letter F, it says all students who graduated from the college last year. Now, since that's who we're studying, that is going to be our population. So our population is all students who graduated from college last year. Now, in our textbook, it talks next about this idea of a sample. Okay, so I'm going to skip to number 4 where it says sample. And in your textbook, it says that a sample is it's really when we're studying a population, we want to select a small group, right? We don't have the time often or the resources to go and ask every single person. So we try and think about a smaller group of people who might be able to help us understand what's happening in the bigger population. Okay, so if we think about a sample, we want some of the students who graduated last year, all right? And if we look at our list of choices, we might see that in letter D, we have a group of students who graduated from college last year, and they're randomly selected, okay? And so D is therefore our sample. We don't want to look at everyone who graduated last year, just a randomly selected sample. All right, next up in our textbook talks about the idea of a statistic, okay? So a statistic is nothing more than a number that represents a property of a sample, okay? So like, what is it about these people or things that we want to study? And what we're curious about is our average cumulative GPAs. Okay, we want to know their GPAs. And so if we scroll down our list, we see that we can say that the average cumulative GPA of students in the study who graduated from college last year, right? That's a lot of words, but really what we're trying to study is that average cumulative GPA. All right, so let's go ahead and put a letter G there. All right, so next up in our textbook, if we're reading under key terms, they talk about something called the parameter, okay? Now, the parameter is nothing more than a numerical characteristic or some number about this population that can be estimated by this statistic. Okay, so in other words, what is it that we are actually looking to know about this population? Well, In this case, we want to know the average cumulative GPA of students who graduated from college last year, right? And so that we can say is we're looking for that average GPA, all right? But not of all of, or of all of the folks, not just the people in the study, all right? All right, next up in our text, we talk about something called a variable. All right, now a variable, whether you like math or not, a variable might be something that's quite familiar to us. We usually use letters like X or Y or T, but this variable we can say is basically some sort of measure or characteristic that can be determined for each member of the population. Okay, and so what we find here is that this GPA we can measure for each student, okay? So we're not looking for the average because we're just saying what we want to know is each person's cumulative GPA. And if we have that, then we can average them together for our sample and use that to talk about our population. Right? So our variable here, the thing that we are collecting information on is B, the cumulative GPA of one student who graduated from college last year. All right, last but not least in our text, it talks about data, right? Data is going to be a word that we talk about a lot, so it's important that we know what it means. All it means is it's the actual values of our variable, right? So in this case, we're looking at GPA, so our data will be numbers. But if I were looking at some other kind of variable, then it might be words or categories or something like that, okay? So in this case, the data that we're gathering is the actual GPA. And if we look, we've got these 4 GPAs right here, 3.65, 2.8, 1.5, and 3.9. And so C is our data, okay? So I hope this was helpful to kind of just go through a problem together like we would in class and make sure that your reasoning is correct. But if you have any questions, send me a message through Canvas or send me an email and I'm happy to help you out. All right, see you soon.